Hello, a very good evening. You're live on GTV and GBC24, your own news channel. My name is Oforiwa Dakon. With the increase in electricity and water tariffs, the National Executive Council of the Ghana Hotels Association has met in Kofodia in the Eastern region to discuss ways of reducing energy costs in their various facilities, providing security for clients at all hotels in the wake of terrorist attacks in neighboring countries dominated discussions during the meeting.
Every year, the National Executive Council of the Hotel Association in Ghana meet to review their performance and chart a new course for the year. This year, what engaged the attention of the association was how to reduce energy costs in the midst of high energy and water tariffs. The Eastern Regional Coordinating Director, Mr. Kofi Boateng Champong, urged members of the association to get in touch with the Energy Commission to learn about new technologies that will help them minimize costs. The national president of the association, Mr. Herbert Akwe, in an interview, indicated that they are collaborating with major security agencies to train their members to become security conscious in the wake of the recent terrorist attacks on neighboring countries.
Handling emergencies is not our core business, so we are engaging the collaborations and services of the major security agencies who are professionals in dealing with these issues to give us the required training.
Deputy Director of Finance in charge of Television License Unit at GBC, Ebenezer Butchie, used the opportunity to educate the members on registration and payment modalities. The Juma Ponhene Nana Kwame Opong urged managers of hotels to put off gadgets which are not in use so as to reduce costs and save energy.
500 community police assistants drawn from the Eastern and Delta regions have passed out at the whole regional police training school. The law enforcement assistants are expected to support the police to maintain law and order.
Community policing assistants comprises 347 from the Volta region and 153 from the Eastern region. The recruits underwent 5 weeks of intense training in which they were taken through subjects including report writing, criminal investigation, information communication technology, human rights and foot drills. The 500 community policing assistants were employed under the Youth Employment Agency. They are made up of 213 females and 287 males. The review officer of the parting out ceremony was the Volta Regional Minister, Madam Helen Adjoa Intoso. She called for an improvement in the relationship between the police and the public. The National Director for the Youth Employment Agency, Kubna Bechim, said the objective of the community policing assistants is to complement the efforts of the police in maintaining law and order. Awards were presented to some recruits who excelled during the training.
Away from that report, the Bishop of the Secondary Diocese of the Methodist Church, Ghana, Right Reverend Edward Oforidonko, has advised Ghanaians to live responsibly to protect the prevailing peace in the country. The man of God also admonished Christians to pray unceasingly for the nation to be at peace, especially in this election year. This was when he opened the 55th Annual Synod of the Secondary Diocese of the Methodist Church.
The Secondary Diocese of the Methodist Church Ghana started as a small preaching post for a group of worshippers through the instrumentality of one Reverend Thomas Birch Freeman in 1842. In the same year, the preaching post attained the status of a circuit. The circuit subsequently became autonomous with a large following. Currently, the diocese has 14 circuits under its administration, with a total membership of 66,918. The synod is held annually for stock-taking and charting a course for progress. This year's event was under the theme Witnessing to Christ, the Methodist Identity and Social Impact, the Role of the Christian Family. It attracted 75 ministers and 120 lay representatives. Addressing the synod, the Bishop of the Secondary Diocese of the Methodist Church Ghana, Right Reverend Edward Oforidonko, who is ending his tenure of office this year, thanked members of the church for their cooperation, which has made him successful in his duties. He stressed that the responsibility of parents in training their children is key to the development of the church and the nation at large. He reminded Ghanaians on the need to lead responsible lives for national peace and cohesion.
Let the Spirit of God guide you in your choice of president and parliamentarian. Take a critical look at your life now and the future of your children in the area of health, education, justice, basic social services to inform you to make the right choice.
The Deputy Western Regional Minister, Mr. Alfred Ekojan, commended the Methodist Church for its contribution to national development in all spheres of life. He urged the church to continue with its effort to stem the moral decadence engulfing the Ghanaian society.
I call on the Methodist Church to continue to accept the challenge and preach against all social vices which impede national building. You are also encouraged to lead exemplary lives as Christians, for you are the lights and salt of earth.
The paramount chief of the Isikado traditional area, Nana Kobinanketia, encouraged members of the church to be proud that they are Methodist and also be steadfast and committed to the cause of development.
Whenever I say I'm a Ghanaian, wherever I am, I bow to the Methodist Church, because without the Methodist Church, I would not be a Ghanaian.
The chaplain of the Guild of the Good Shepherd of the Anglican Church, Reverend Father Archibald Adukwe, has reminded members of the Guild to live in harmony and unity, as that is the reason for which the Guild was established. According to him, it is when members show love to one another that they can extend it to others. Reverend Father Archibald Adukwe was speaking in Accra at a mass organized to start activities marking this year's Shepherd Day.
The Shepherd's Day of the Guild of the Good Shepherd is an annual event celebrated by all the 10 dioceses of the Anglican Church across the country. On the Anglican calendar, the third Sunday after Easter is called the Good Shepherd Day. It is a day when members of the Guild of the Good Shepherd meet to fraternize and make merry. Members of the Guild from the various parishes of the Accra Diocese converged at the Holy Trinity Cathedral to mark the day with a picnic. A mass was held, and typical of the Guild, there was an exchange of the sign of peace by members as they held hands to reaffirm their love and support for one another. In a sermon, the chaplain of the Guild of the Good Shepherd, Reverend Father Archibald Adukwe, advised members of the Guild to be each other's keeper as they all strive to make a positive impact on the society.
In my short relationship as a chaplain of the Shepherd Guild, I have realized that the Guild is lacking sincere love, the kind of extraordinary love that God has for human beings. This kind of insincerity has brought a lot of controversy among the family of the Good Shepherd. And the problem has spread across to the national, diocesan, and parochial levels. The problem is crystal clear, and the leadership is the problem. Hen Nakani, Master Shebes, are not ready to step down when their tenure is due, and will give one or two excuses. Of course, some of the problems are genuine, but there is time for everything. Hallelujah.
At the end of the Mass, members of the Guild took to the streets amidst singing and dancing to evangelize and invite others to the day of sharing. A cooking competition for the Archdeaconry was also organized.
Well, it was a wet start to April 17 in parts of the country, probably washing away the dust of the past weekend to begin week 3 on a clean slate. And it is important to count our blessings, naming them one by one. As we do so, let's flip through some of the stories that made headlines over the past week in pictures. News Hour continues after the break. Welcome back. On the foreign front, French President François Hollande is meeting his Egyptian counterpart Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Cairo on Sunday to boost military ties. The leaders are set to sign an arms deal worth more than $1 billion following months of negotiations. As part of its deal with France, Egypt will receive fighter aircraft and navy vessels. In the past 2 years, the Egyptian government has spent billions of dollars on French weapons and other hardware as part of efforts to bolster its military. Following the 2013 ouster of former President Mohamed Morsi, the U.S. temporarily froze Egypt's military aid, forcing the government to turn to Russia, Germany and France. At least 233 people have been confirmed dead after the most powerful earthquake in decades hit Ecuador, with rescue operations getting underway. Some 10,000 troops and 3,500 police are being deployed in the affected areas. The magnitude 7.8 quake struck early on Saturday evening and was felt as far away as neighboring Colombia. Coastal areas in the northwest were closest to the epicenter, and officials say the death toll is likely to rise as information begins to come in. Helicopters and buses are ferrying troops north but have been hampered by landslides. In some areas, people are using their bare hands to try to dig out survivors. Mr. Glass said food and other essentials were being handed out, and international aid was also beginning, with the first coming from Venezuela and Mexico. President Rafael Correa, who is flying back from a trip to Italy, has decreed a state of emergency, calling on his country to be calm and united. Japan is struggling to restore services in the southwestern island of Kyushu after it was hit by two powerful earthquakes. Some 180,000 people are set to spend a third night in temporary shelters, including cars and tents. More than 62,000 homes remain without electricity and 300,000 homes have no water, Japanese media reported, and at least 11 people are still missing following the quakes, which killed 41 people and wounded hundreds. Rescuers used improved weather on Sunday to fly helicopters to the worst-affected areas of Kumamoto Prefecture as tremors continued. Fears that heavy overnight rain would cause further large landslides appeared to not have been realized. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has announced that he will increase the number of troops participating in the rescue effort to 25,000 while accepting a U.S. offer of air transportation in the rescue efforts. In other stories, Brazil's lower house of Congress is due to hold a crucial vote on whether to impeach President Dilma Rousseff over charges of manipulating government accounts for political gains. Security has been stepped up outside the building in Brasilia to prevent clashes between rival protesters. Ms. Rousseff has accused her political opponents are mounting a coup. She has been lobbying MPs amid indications there may be enough votes for the impeachment motion to carry. A two-thirds majority, 342 out of 513 votes, are needed to send the motion to the upper house. The Senate, where a simple majority would be enough to suspend Ms. Rousseff from office for up to 180 days during an impeachment trial. The debate on impeachment began on Friday, and the voting is expected from 17 GMT. Deputies will vote one by one in a televised session, which is expected to last several hours. Health campaigners say more than 150 countries have begun switching to a different polio vaccine, an important milestone towards polio eradication. The new vaccine will target the 2 remaining strains of the virus under a switch over 18 months in the planning. There were just 74 cases of the paralyzing disease in 2015, and there have been 10 so far this year. All the cases were in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Africa has been free of polio for more than a year. Switching the vaccine from one successfully used to fight polio for more than 30 years is a huge logistical exercise. Thousands of people will monitor the changeover in 155 countries during the next fortnight. It is taking effect mainly in developing countries, but also in richer ones such as Russia and Mexico. The new vaccine will still be given as drops in the mouth, so healthcare workers will not need fresh training. We're still on the international news. A meeting of leading oil exporting countries in Qatar called to address the low level of prices has run into difficulties. Reports from Qatar's capital Doha say the problem is tension between Saudi Arabia and Iran. The agenda for the meeting is whether to freeze production levels. Iran has consistently refused to take such steps, but Saudi officials have at times appeared willing to take such action only if Iran were to as well. The meeting is a response to the fall in prices which began in June 2014. The price is now less than half what it was then, though the last few weeks it has risen from its lowest levels. Most members of the exporters group, OPEC, together with some other oil producers, are meeting in Doha to discuss freezing output. No cuts, in other words, just a commitment to no more increases. A video of leading Philippines presidential candidate Rodrigo Duterte joking about a murdered Australian rape victim has provoked a storm of protest. The footage shows Mr. Duterte and his supporters making light of the assault by prison inmates in 1989 when he was town mayor. He said the female missionary was so beautiful that the mayor should have been first. Critics say this shows Mr. Duterte is unfit for the office of president. Mr. Duterte's supporters, however, have dismissed the comments as a joke. The candidate is known for his irreverent speeches and boasts of sexual conquest. One recent poll had him leading over other contenders ahead of the 9th May election. The sports news is up next. In sports tonight, in Sunday Premier League action, Liverpool secured over third consecutive victory with a 2-1 victory over Bournemouth. Elsewhere, Leicester City went 8 points clear at the top of the table with a controversial 2-2 draw against West Ham United. So back in the country, the Indomie Youth and Junior Weightlifting Championship has been held at the Accra Sports Stadium. The competition, which is the first of its kind, brought together various weightlifting clubs from across the capital to compete for honours.
Maiden edition of the Youth and Juniors Weightlifting Championship forms part of efforts by the Ghana Weightlifting Federation to develop and popularize the sport in the country. The one-day event brought together 4 weightlifting clubs from the Greater Accra region. They included Titans A1, Pure Joy, and Migrants. After a series of warm-up demonstrations by the senior athletes, the competition got underway. Participants competed in various weight divisions, as well as techniques including the snatch, the clean and jack, and the squats. For both men and women's division, winners were determined by a body weight of the competitors per the weight they lifted. The president of the Ghana Weightlifting Federation, Mr. Benunu, was delighted with the success of the events.
I'm over delighted because even though we knew some of the kids were going to come, we didn't know there was this going to be this exciting atmosphere around them. You know, the way they cheer their friends when they come to lift, it's so exciting. And I'm sure when a lot of these kids see this, the next competition we have, don't be surprised, we have about 120 kids coming here to do this competition in the next one.
The Minister for Youth and Sports, Neelante Vanderpoel, spoke about the ministry's plans to support the discipline.
The budget allocated to the Ministry of Youth and Sports is for all sporting disciplines. And as such, we have made sure that all sporting disciplines get something at least from the National Sports Authority. It is not enough. We want to add more. Anytime we get money, we will make sure that we share it among all the sporting disciplines so that everybody will have a little something to organize programs like this.
Some participants also shared their experiences.
Since I came in 30th January, 4 months now, and competing with my friend here, it's good. I can see that I can do it.
When I first entered, I didn't know anything about lifting, and I wasn't strong also. I think this sport also has given me the strength to lift, not only lifting, but in day activities also.
The competition is the first of 4 in a series to be organized by the Federation before the close of the year.
You're still watching news. Are coming up, the entertainment news. Game of Thrones is set to end after its 8th season. The American fantasy drama's co-creators David Benioff and Daniel Weiss are moving on. Great British Bake Off winner Nadia Hussein has revealed she is baking the Queen's 90th birthday cake. The reigning champion of the BBC show will be serving up an orange drizzle cake with orange curd and orange buttercream. She revealed the news on ITV's Loose Women, saying the cake will be very citrusy. Hussein said she considered doing a fruit cake but told the panel she thought it will be better to do something a little bit different. Her culinary delights will be delivered personally next Thursday, the Queen's actual birthday, not her official one. The weather report up next.
Brought to you by Adriani Hene with technical support from the Ghana Meteorological Agency.
Good evening, and it's a pleasure to have you on the weather report segment of the evening news, proudly brought to you by Adriani Hene. Tema recorded the highest recession, but while recording the lowest amount of rainfall over the past 24 hours. However, the other areas and their corresponding values are showing at the bottom of your screens. For the next 24 hours, let's see how the weather would look like. From tonight till tomorrow morning, we're expecting a partly cloudy atmosphere over the entire country with possible isolated thunderstorms over all areas. In terms of temperature, it's likely to stay at a minimum of 25 degrees Celsius over the entire country. For the afternoon, it's going to be cloudy over the coastal regions and partly cloudy across the rest of the country. Isolated thunderstorms will continue to affect all areas with the exception of the coastal regions where some isolated showers are expected. In terms of temperature, though, a maximum of 40 degrees Celsius would affect the north, between 38 and 35 over the middle areas, and 32 degrees Celsius over the coastal belt. Last but not the least, for the case of humidity, it's likely to stay high across the entire country over the next 24 hours. Over the next 48 hours, we're expecting a partly cloudy atmosphere over the entire country, but here is the weather in detail. Keep watching the weather report, brought to you by Adriani Hene. Have a good night.
So on that note, we draw the curtain on News Hour. We'll be back at 10:30 with news tonight.